messages to the Iraqi people who are wondering?
You're free, and freedom is beautiful. And, you know, it'll take time to restore chaos and order, but we're order out of chaos, but we will.
When people say you can't abolish war, it's with us forever, I say, well, we haven't tried very hard yet. Don't think about war as an event or a series of events. Think about it as a system, tumor on human society, and as something that people die for and kill for and create all kinds of havoc for. It profits people, it profits companies, it profits elites. And this group of hawks was very influential in the 9/11 events.
You cannot sit back and wait for a savior. You can't opt out because you don't feel sufficiently inspired by this or that particular candidate. This is not a rock concert. This is not Coachella. We don't need a messiah. All we need are decent, honest, hard-working people who are accountable and who have America's best interests at heart.
On Monday, George W. Bush will campaign in South Carolina for his brother. As you said tonight, and you've often said, the Iraq War and your opposition to it was a sign of your good judgment. In 2008, in an interview with Wolf Blitzer talking about President George W. Bush's conduct of the war, you said you were surprised that Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi didn't try to impeach him. You said, quote, which personally I think would have been a wonderful thing, close quote. When you were asked what you meant by that, you said, for the war. For the war. He lied. He got us into the war with lies. Do you still believe President Bush should have been impeached?
First of all, I have to say, as a businessman, I get along with everybody. I have business all over the world. I know so many of the people in the audience. And by the way, I'm a self-funder. I have my wife and I have my son. That's all I have. I don't have this. So let me just tell you, I get along with everybody, which is my obligation to my company, to myself, etc. Obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake, all right? Now, you can take it any way you want, and it took Jeb Bush, if you remember at the beginning of his announcement, when he announced for president, took him 5 days. He went back. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Took him 5 days before his people told him what to say, and he ultimately said it was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake. So George Bush made a mistake. We can make mistakes, but that one was a beauty. We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East.
Where am I? Grandpa? What are you doing here?
Chris, welcome to the Skull and Bones Society. This is where the most powerful men in the world are groomed for their futures. Every president, every CEO, every douchebag named Ryan Seacrest. The Skull and Bones Society has been a part of my family for decades, and we want you to become a member.
Really? Wow, cool!
Excellent! You get your own stock portfolio, a percentage of the 9/11 Victims Fund, and the best medical care on the planet. You'll be kept as healthy as a horse.
So what do you think of my Trump Home mattress collection by Serta? Finally, the same luxury and comfort I demand in my hotels.
Oh, they'll never count sheep again.
Listen, why don't you come work for me?
What do you have in mind?
Something you were born to do.
Welcome to Room 9.
Looking good, number 9, looking good.
Where's your dignity?
Those weapons of mass destruction got to be somewhere. Nope, no weapons over there. Maybe under here. The main reason we went into Iraq at the time was we thought he had weapons of mass destruction. It turns out he didn't. What did Iraq have to do with what?
The attack on the World Trade Center.
Nothing.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322. You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, a secret number?
There are all kinds of secrets, Tim, but one thing is not a secret. I disagree with this president's direction that he's taking the country. We can do a better job, and I intend to do it.
And we'll be watching. Be safe on the campaign trail. John Kerry, thanks for joining us.
One of the highlights of the Pope's visit to New York today was his visit to the National September 11th Memorial. He placed a flower at one of the two waterfalls where the names of the nearly 3,000 victims are etched in bronze. Right now, the Pope is celebrating Mass at Madison Square Garden, and Chip Reed is there. Chip?
That's right, Scott. He is inside the arena, and the Mass has begun. Some of those 20,000 faithful inside waited almost all day in line just to get in. This is the last event in what has been a very long day for Pope Francis. Some of the day's most powerful moments came during the Pope's visit to the 9/11 Memorial, where he prayed at the reflecting pools where the World Trade Center towers once stood. He met with families of those who lost their lives that day more than 14 years ago. One woman showed Francis a memento, which he then blessed. Inside the museum, Francis solemnly viewed artifacts from Ground Zero, including a Bible found in the debris, opened to the passage, "An eye for an eye."
Bring your peace to our violent world.
The Pope also spoke at an interfaith service with leaders of other religions, including an imam and a rabbi, to remember the victims and honor the survivors. The family members show us their face of pain, he said, pain that leaves us speechless, but that screams to heaven.
Years later, it still feels so vivid.
Even now, just talking about it, I remember the fear.
It always dawns on me like I was on a plane the day before.
For me and my CBS4 colleagues, 9/11 is like a timestamp. The fateful day burned into our journalistic memories.
Tonight we begin a News 12 special series, Remembering 9/11. With the 10th anniversary approaching, we're going to take a look back at the terror attacks that changed America forever. Now, you may not be aware, a hurricane was forecast for New York that fateful day, a storm that could have conceivably changed history. News 12 meteorologist Joe Rayo is here with Remembering 9/11. Joe.
Well, absolutely, Brian. You know, the weather has played a crucial role in many historical events, from D-Day to the explosion of the Space Shuttle Challenger. And tonight, in the wake of Hurricane Irene, ironically enough, how another storm may have made a difference. For on the day before 9/11, all eyes were focused on a major hurricane. From here on Chopper 12, we have access to spectacular panoramic views of the greater New York metropolitan area. And these scenes are enhanced on this particular morning by the weather. Indeed, it's the kind of day that meteorologists might categorize as severe clear. And now, still under construction, yet looming large in our view, is One World Trade Center. You know, seeing this particular edifice against these blue skies is a haunting reminder of the weather conditions on that tragic day 10 years ago. A gorgeous morning in late summer. But had the weather been just a little different, the tragic events that we now associate with the date September 11, 2001 might never have happened. The day before 9/11, over the greater New York area, skies were turbulent with extensive cloud cover, accompanied by scattered showers. I remember that day very well. I was here at News 12 doing my evening weathercast and showing our viewers satellite images of a very powerful storm, a Category 3 hurricane, Hurricane Erin, which was moving on a track that would take it, perhaps the next day, right into the tri-state metropolitan area. Notice also the movement. It's moving toward the northwest, and if it were to keep on moving, it would be heading right toward Long Island and southern New England, but it's not going to do that. But then I pointed out that the cold front that was moving through our area would ultimately push Erin away from the East Coast. Will be turned around and moved to the north and northeast, out of the picture for us as this cold front comes on in and through, and for all intents and purposes just boom, kicks Erin right on out to sea.
I was actually happy to tell our viewers that we were going to dodge a major weather bullet, that the hurricane was going to veer away from the eastern seaboard, that September 11th was going to be a beautiful day, blue skies and bright sunshine. In retrospect, maybe it would have been better if we had to deal with the hurricane.
After this commercial message.
Is this the match you wanted all along, or are you going to continue your terrorist attacks with one goal in mind, to defeat, or should I say demolish, the Twin Towers?
And tear down the Twin Towers. The pain won't stop until the Twin Towers come crumbling down. Oh yeah, right now tonight on prime time. Yeah. Everybody knows that the Twin Towers are big, strong, high buildings. They may be earthquake-proof. They may be typhoon-proof. They may be tidal wave-proof. And you're gonna see the Twin Towers come crumbling down. Yeah.
The day after the September 11th tragedy, then New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani encouraged New Yorkers to keep calm and carry on, to try and live a normal life, even go shopping.
Advice that I would give to people today, if they're home from work, is to go about a normal day. Take the day as an opportunity to go shopping, be with your children, do things, get out.
And now, 15 years later, a massive shopping mall has risen quite literally from the ashes. The Oculus is the centerpiece of the new $4 billion World Trade Center transportation hub, which replaces the one destroyed in the terrorist attacks. Designed by architect Santiago Calatrava, it's the third largest transport center in New York City. And the adjacent mall, in its pristine marble glory, recently opened to the public.
The Oculus is beautiful.
Very nice, very great, unbelievable.
I think it's beautiful. How could you not like it?
The shopping center, operated by Westfield Corporation, currently has more than 100 stores, ranging from Apple to Hugo Boss, with some 32,000 square meters dedicated to retail. Some have taken offense to the emphasis on retail, saying there isn't much here to indicate it's built on consecrated ground.
I didn't get the connection between 9/11 and this structure.
I don't really think there is anything about the centre that would indicate to me as a tourist in New York that it is on sacred ground, but I'm not offended by it.
Most see it as a symbol of renewal.
Obviously, this is not a memorial to September 11th, but it does capture New York spirit in the sense that even though, and I'll say it in sort of a New York way, we can take a punch to the gut and still get up and keep thriving.
The USA rebuilding and making, business again prosperous in an area that was totally destroyed. I think it's wonderful.
The impressive glass and steel structure was intended to look like a dove in flight, but that seems to be open to interpretation.
It kind of looks like a rib cage. The ribs of some kind of a fish, perhaps a whale.
I thought it looked like a dinosaur, skeleton.
It almost reminded me of the crown of the Statue of Liberty.
However, there is no debate that it is indeed spectacular in the truest sense of the word.
So factor number one, predictive programming. Now, of course, the groundwork and foundation we go off of is 9/11 pre-programming. And we know that based on that, we know they utilize subconscious sorcery and witchcraft, subconscious manipulation. And we know this, that they do this via the media. This is no longer debatable. As a matter of fact, you can wake up a lot of people with viewing all the 9/11 pre-programming. It's a great way to wake people up. And actually, the compilation you're looking at here is probably the best up-to-date compilation of all the 9/11 pre-programming references. So we know they do this, and we can only logically assume they will do this, especially with their large-scale, world-changing false flag events. And so, of course, we've been speculating for years their next world-changing event will be much bigger than 9/11. Then we can only assume that the pre-programming will be going back decades and decades and decades, just like 9/11. So make no mistake about it. If they work on this philosophy, okay, if they do this, then that means they will have programmed their next event in the media already. It's already out there staring at us right in our faces in the media. It's just a matter of identifying it consciously. So again, the coding cannot go back just 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. Gotta go back decades and decades and decades, just like 9/11. Now, factor number 2 is, are there suspicious companies, entities involved with the projected target locations or buildings or building? And indeed, we have that here with the primary building of CenturyLink Field, and that's the building with the most suspicious connections that we were looking at. And of course, what comes up is the structural engineering company and the contractors for the stadium. Structural engineering company called Magnuson and Klemenczyk. Okay, and the contractor, Turner Construction. More suspiciously, Turner Construction. They've actually been on the radar, come to find out, of the 9/11 truthers for many years, because many feel that they were no doubt involved in the 9/11 operation, and they are highly corrupt based on what we're looking at here and the evidence we have on them. And actually, moving forward, we should continue to shed spotlight on them. And I actually want to do another video on them alone, Turner Construction. So get this, okay, just for those of you guys unaware, Turner Construction was involved with the 9/11 so-called cleanup, aka cover-up, okay? And they were responsible for fireproofing of, get this, the only floors that were impacted by the so-called planes just prior to 9/11. And also, they were involved in the renovations, or responsible for the renovations just prior to 9/11 in the Twin Towers, which gave them access to the elevator shafts, which means that gave them access to the columns and beams. Do you understand the gravity of these facts? So I'm just going to leave that there. But this company is, wow. Okay, they were involved in the 9/11 op, and then you have the structural engineering company for CenturyLink called Magnuson and Klemenczyk. They were responsible for constructing the Twin Towers. The structural steel actually was constructed by this company. So right there, that elevates this investigation to the next level. It even brings all the skeptics coming on board and grabbing their attention, and justifiably so. Everyone's ears and brows were perked, and like I said, took this investigation to the next level. So if you have those connections coupled with the pre-programming references, that is huge. So that brings us to factor number 3. So factor number 3 boils down to a philosophical question. And some of you guys may be unaware, but 5 or so years ago, I put out a video. Some of you guys back then, around back then that are still here, may remember this video called 9/11 Pre-Programming Reveals the Biggest False Flag in Human History. And in that video, I lay out, how they do it, why they do it, and lay out and present some of the top references. And towards the end of the video, I say, hey, if we consciously identify this, we can actually probably negate the spell and render it powerless. And, because we're consciously identifying it. So what if we apply this to wide scale, and we actually consciously identify this and insert it into the public consciousness, and hundreds of thousands of people view it? Would it not be possible to negate this spell on a large scale, for their potential false flag event based on this pre-programming spell? If we break the spell on a much larger scale, or at least hundreds of thousands of people know about it, and when we put it out there, is it not possible to potentially prevent or delay the event? Are we powerless? So this is just a question of if your approach, your philosophical approach, do you think we're powerless? I don't think we're powerless. I think we've prevented or stopped PSYOPs in the past. I think if we do it on a large scale where hundreds of thousands of people know about it beforehand, it does have an effect.
And if we're looking at, what Deagle is talking about, the UK, for instance, is going to lose 51 million. That's crazy. that's blows it away. And if you look at the U.S. is losing 227 million people. What could possibly do that?
Of all the things that are out there, what could cause an excess in a single year of 10 million deaths? Now, clearly a big war could, and a pandemic, natural or created by bioterror.
One issue that really grabbed me as urgent were issues related to population, reproductive health.
But did you come to reproductive issues as an intellectual?
When I was growing up, my parents were always involved in various volunteer things. My dad was head of Planned Parenthood, and it was very controversial to be involved with that.
Planned Parenthood founder Margaret Sanger is known for her advocating in favor of eugenics as a form of population control. Lauren Ashburn sat down with one expert for a closer look at the link between eugenics and Planned Parenthood.
Joining us now is Angela Franks, author of Margaret Sanger's Eugenics Legacy, The Control of Female Fertility. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, I'm glad to be here.
Describe eugenics to us.
Eugenics is the belief system that a person's worth is measured by whether or not they're eugenically fit or unfit. And so eugenicists believe that there was a whole group of people whom they labeled the unfit, whose value was really less than people whom they thought were genetically superior.
So, for example, World War II, when the Nazis used eugenics, they were trying to create a superior race, wiping out thousands of Jews, right?
Exactly.
So Margaret Sanger then used the eugenics movement to establish Planned Parenthood, which is, I think, what your book is about here. And how did she do that? How did she mold the narrative of eugenics to make it appealing to the entire population?
Yeah. So in the 19-teens and 20s and 30s, eugenics was a very popular idea among people who were educated and elite. And so Sanger took this idea that some people were fit and some people weren't, and she connected it to population control with the slogan, quality, not quantity. And so her idea was that really this was going to save, the human race, that we were going to breed people who are of a higher, quote unquote, quality, instead of just having lots of people.
So Planned Parenthood uses eugenics in what way?
It's very clear in the early documents of Planned Parenthood that they were committed to eugenics. Now, after World War II, eugenics really lost a lot of popular support because people saw how murderous it could become. So after World War II, eugenics goes underground, and it really becomes much more closely fused into population control. So I say population control is eugenics with a passport.
So I interviewed Archbishop Charles Chaput, and in his new book, he says this about eugenics: the quest through genetics and technology for a new kind of humanity that transcends the jail cell of the purely human brain and flesh is a new research frontier. Why has it become so commonplace now? Is it because of the research?
Yeah, that's really caused a resurgence of eugenics as the genetic research became more and more specialized and more accurate. I mean, really, eugenics in the 1920s was wildly inaccurate. But today we know a lot more about the human genome. And so the idea is now we're going to manipulate it and control it and produce superior people.
That part of what makes our country great is that our membership is based not on our bloodline, not on what we look like, what our last names are. It's not based on where our parents or grandparents came from or how recently they arrived, but on adherence to a common creed.
You have to have the right genes.
I have a certain gene. I'm a gene believer.
Do we believe in the gene thing? I mean, I do.
I have great genes and all that stuff, which I'm a believer in.
I'm proud to have that German blood. There's no question about it.
Now, this is what I've always believed. Again, this video was 5 or so years ago, so I'm just not coming out and saying it just right now and coming out and saying it. This is what I've always believed. Okay, so would it not justify putting the word out there about it, just putting it out there, just in case? And, who knows, right? And what if it is possible then we just want to sit quiet because we're worried about some people calling us tinfoil, even though they call us tinfoil for every other reason, and that ship has sailed already? Like, come on. Okay, and so imagine with the suspicious connections, the Turner constructions and and that coupled with the pre-programming references. Imagine if we went back before 9/11 and we did the same thing for 9/11, right? And we did this 11/3 for 9/11. And we pointed out the Larry Silversteins and the insurance policies and the Jeb Bush on the board of directors of Securicom, Stratasec, security for the World Trade Center towers, the renovations, everything else, right? All those suspicious goings on and coincidences prior to the event. We pointed that out, and along with the references, Neo's passport, Matrix, Simpsons, 9 and the towers, and the rest of it. How would that have played out? Think about it. How would that have played out if at least hundreds of thousands of people knew about it beforehand?
See, New York, we could all go with the bus company's special Super Sitter fare. $9? This one's on me.
Huh?
For your information, it was rich in symbolism.
It was rich in boring me to death.
Oh, yeah? Well, you're stupid.
No, you're stupid.
Well, you're stupider.
No.
And if you're a good little girl,
a Teenage Nuclear Fusion Squad video game.
Well,
a Rocco Mr. X exploding smash-up doll. A Beverly Hills Cynthia lunchbox. A pony. And a 9/11 emergency surgical kit with working stethoscope.
Pictures so real you won't believe your eyes. Dolby ProLogic surround sound so exciting your eyes won't believe your ears. The ultimate home cinema televisions from Philips, including 100 Hz flicker-free pictures and widescreens. Philips, let's make things better.
That's something to think about, I think. Okay, so in my mind, because of these factors, and because of the possibility, I think it's completely justified in putting the word out in this way. And it is absolutely farthest thing away from fear mongering based on that. This is all beyond coincidence, which means beyond coincidence, which means something was done by design here. And so did we identify that next potential event? Many of us believe we did. If not, then it's out there in the media, and we have yet to identify it. But hey, that's the question. But it's just a matter of how you approach this and what you believe.
How long do we have? For the block is empty.
2 years, 3 months, and 9 days.
Because what's really happening is that you're hiding something out there.
The stars go dim and the skies turn black.
local. This is Hawaii News Now. Thousands of sailors on dozens of ships are coming to Hawaii for RIMPAC.
RIMPAC is the world's largest multinational maritime exercise.
RIMPAC is a military ballet of 14 navies.
20,000 Navy personnel.
Cooperation and collaboration amongst the countries is the goal.
Relationship building is the
We are here to crush every other ship.
I'm excited to see what we learn.
We are not here in this weapons room to learn. I will personally...
We've ended up in a department run by some kind of Donald Trump, Mike Tyson mutant combo.
I swear you said Donald Trump. Want to clarify?
Now shut up and drive. Shut up and drive.
I'm gonna get it right. My life someday. I'm gonna figure it out. Maybe tonight.
In 9 hours and 23 minutes, you'll be mine.
You can do it, old boy.
Yes, I can. Just keeping you on your toes, babe. 239 pounds! Oh, I'm a blimp. Why are all the good things so tasty?
But I helped him a drink his wine. And it always had somebody find wine.
What's this? If the y-axis represents LA's human population, then this is the point where there are no more people.
What's this?
Doomsday Clock. It's an analysis of classified census data from around the colony. A little over 27 months from now, the population in the city will be reduced to 2.5%.
就在昨天晚上大约11点左右的时候，若是在路上遇到这位女子，马上来看一下今天的晨间新闻。昨天晚上11点左右呢，发生一件骇人听闻的消息。 Y como viéndose por el cielo envuelto en llamas, hasta ahora no se sabe lo que es.
It isn't anything from this planet.
How do we know that?
Because the Chinese have sampled it.
Cause I know I'ma get it right. And I know I'ma get it right.
What's your name again?
Damien!
Say hi to Damien. And where are you from, Damien?
The seventh layer of hell!
Oh, that's exciting. My mother was from Alabama.
My arrival connotes the end of the beginning of the end, the new reign of my father!
Your father?
The Prince of Darkness!
Let the new prince be decided on Saturday. First South Park, then the world.
Hey, Wiley, how you feeling? Get it done, son. And remember everything we talked about. Defensive driving. Stop it on yellow. Obey the laws.
Keep your feet off the line this time, please. Nice score, nice score. Let's see score, nice score. Nice score, guys. All right. 1960.
Insurance. Anything.
There's a big hayfield up near Buxton. You know where Buxton is?
Come on, set them down. I want them all lined up here, just like a pretty little chorus line. Yeah, look at that. Oh, my God. Daisy's in there somewhere. I know it. Where do we start?
Up in all your high place liars, time is ticking for the empire. The truth they feed is feeble, as so many times before. The greed of other people, they stumble and they crumble and then we about to riot. They woke up the lions.
Just know your time will come, so give it all you got. Don't stop believing, so give it all you got.
The final mission to save mankind has failed. The 70-mile-wide asteroid known commonly as Matilda is set to collide with Earth in exactly 3 weeks' time.
But we tried that before.
We're talking dialable yield, megatons, not kilotons. Nothing can withstand that blast. Makes the bomb we tried to kill it with in 54 look like a firecracker.
This is a nuclear bomb?
Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of the Holy See, followed by the national anthem of the United States.
I'm here today at Washington DC with this big shrine to the Catholic Church here of the Immaculate Conception to have a deeper look at what it's all about.
Ecumenical. One world under Rome. It's like an expensive hotel. One of those 5-star ones in Vegas. And the references to Saturn
six-sided shape. The Antichrist, the birth of the Antichrist, a copy of the truth, of the true Messiah, but this is the inverted, the false one. So there's always parallels and mirrors to the real truth. It's just that this goes back to Egypt, Babylon, and there's always been usurping authority, as I said, usurping authority from the real legitimate Messiah, the real legitimate truth that we can read in the New Testament. This is how they are doing it and always have done it. It's just the plan all along. The fallen plan, the kingdom of darkness, our enemy, to usurp and trick and mirror and copy, to mislead people. She's sitting on a foundation stone there, behind these pillars where the veil would be, like in the Holy of Holies again. Same representation. The Mother Goddess, Semiramis, Diana and Child, the false Mary. Oh my goodness. And once again, you see IXXI, which is Roman numerals for 9/11, on the cup. The Frankists and other secret societies, there is this belief that they need to fill up this cup of sin, make people turn to bad, which you can see happening, in order to provoke their Christ to come, which they think is the real Christ. But that's their belief. They believe they need to fill up this cup of filth, this cup of abomination, as we're told about in the Bible, that will happen. The cup of abominations that will bring judgment upon the world. But they believe that they're going to get this Christ is going to come.
Say you were going to take it back?
See, look, even here it's saying to receive the scroll and to break open its seals. Oh my goodness, I didn't even realise this was here. I used this picture in a video the other day. That is Apollyon the Destroyer. Mars, the Roman god of war. And we've got that same representation of the Holy of Holies type thing, and him raising out of it Apollyon the Destroyer, the Antichrist. That is not Jesus. I don't think it takes much to work out that that's not Jesus. That is not Jesus. Apollyon the Destroyer, the Antichrist.
We continue our coverage this morning of Pope Francis in America with Nora at the White House. Nora?
Thank you, Gail. You know, Pope Francis is also going to celebrate his first Mass in the United States, and that is at the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. Now, he is the third Pope to visit the Basilica that is on the Catholic University of America campus. And Chip Reed is there to show us what to expect this afternoon. Chip, good morning.
Well, good morning. You know, around here, most people simply call it the Shrine, and it is a beautiful building. It is the largest Roman Catholic church in America. In fact, they're expecting about 25,000 people here this afternoon to see and hear the Pope celebrate Mass.
forevermore to menace Earth.
We have our own phone.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I don't know how the first went off, but the second one exploded. There was a bomb. Definitely a bomb in the second one. I don't know about the first one. It looks like there's an indent in the building, and maybe there was a plane, but I can't imagine how the second one went off. No, I saw that second building blow up. It just blew up.
The government's been in bed with the entire telecommunications industry since the 40s. They've infected everything. You get into your bank statements, computer files, email, listen to your phone calls. My wife's been saying that for years. Every wire, every airway. I used to work for the NSA. I was a communication analyst. Listen to international calls from foreign nationals. The computer recognizes it, automatically records it, red flags it for analysis. That was 20 years ago. They've got over 100 spy satellites looking down at us. That's classified. Reynolds Thomas Bryan, born 9/11/40. Attended Episcopal School, D.C., BA 9/11.
We suspended trials on 9/11.
So let's get back to those 9/11 trials.
I thought you'd be anxious to get to 9/11. 9/11 will search the number in 9th and 11th, respectively.
I knew the air in New York was dangerous, but I didn't know we were thinking of using it as a secret weapon.
The prime programming on 9/11 police, and they arrest these ciphers that 9/11 has packaged up so neatly. Connected to 9/11. 9/11 is interrogating. They've been using 9/11 to find the people who murdered his family.
Police Department, on September 11th, 1960, would you like to look at these visual images?
In 9 hours and 23 minutes, you'll be mine.
Verify is all about making sure the facts check out before you share your personal information with anyone. Take tweets and posts like this one, saying text your zip code to this 6-digit number to see 3 nearby places giving out COVID vaccines. We wanted to check it out, so let's verify. Is this number legit? And pretty quickly we could tell you that yes, it's real.
Text your zip code.
Text your zip code.
And was set up by the Biden administration.
To that number, 438829. And you'll get text back the location that is nearest you with vaccines in stock right then and there.
Those numbers spell out Get Vax. And if you want those directions in Spanish, just text your zip code to 822862, which spells out vacuna.
Calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious
tell you! 88 miles per hour!
We may never know where this disease came from.
Slipping, slipping, slipping.
But we do know that this vaccine is a result of the courage and perseverance of a remarkable few. We shall now begin the drawing. John. First MEV1 vaccination are those people born on March 10th. March 10th. To remind all of you to stay 10 feet apart from each other while online.
All right, 144.
Day
That's
145.
still 200, more than 200 birthdays, hon, that haven't been called. So that's good. That's a good number.
So what do you think of my Trump Home mattress collection by Serta? Finally, the same luxury and comfort I demand in my hotels.
Oh, they'll never count sheep again.
Listen, why don't you come work for me?
What do you have in mind?
Something you were born to do.
Welcome to Room 9.
Looking good, number 9, looking good.
Where's your dignity?
In a world that is bland, colorless and cold, where banality grows like a fungus or a mold, there live the boring sheeple who look just like each other. A darker force rides into town, unleashing demon brothers. Here come the little deviants. They come from underground. They're rising from the depths to take those sheeple down. The sheeple are compliant and make for fine ingredients. For customizing anything, here come the little deviants. These are the little deviants.
Chapter 24. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. Then, if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
Come in. If you're seeking, he'll come in. If you're seeking, he'll come in. Bless your name, Jesus. Bless your name, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord.